Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. That's right, it's Sunday. Time to talk about discographies, look at the albums, rank the albums. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they great? Are they terrific? We shall see, right? Today, on this Ranking the Albums episode, we're going to go to Sweden for a band that I like a lot, and I've been listening to them since their debut album came out, a good amount of years ago. They've been around since the early 2000s, and they've got 8 studio full-length albums to their credit. The band is called Siena Root. How to describe Siena Root, you ask? Well, if you like old school, analog, classic rock, retro rock, psychedelic rock, a little bit of stoner rock, tiny bit of doom, they call themselves root rock, like roots, not roots, root rock. That's kind of what they call themselves. I don't really know what that means, but the music is all Siena Root. Just brings you back in time. All of their albums, it's bluesy, it's hard rocking, it's psychedelic. There's lots of soul in it. There's, like I said, some heavier elements from time to time. They've changed lineups a lot throughout the course of their history. So you've got throughout much of the catalog, you got like almost like different singers on almost every single album. With the exception of the last 2, you've had the same singer on both albums. But regardless, the core of the band generally is the same. The bass player and the drummer generally have been on every single album, and you've had guitar players who have spent a good amount of time with the band, then leave, and then someone else comes in and spends a good amount of time. A couple keyboard players who have been in the band for a while, right? So it's that sort of a thing. But the music is so great. It's so like kind of classic sounding, like if you go watch some of the live footage, they use regular old classic keyboards, Hammond organ and some Moog and electric piano and Mellotron. The bass player is always played with a Rickenbacker. You got classic Gibson Les Pauls and authentic, legendary guitars and stuff like that. It's just a really cool band and a lot of really strong albums. So I'm going to rank them in my order of preference. I would ask all of you who are watching, if you are familiar with this catalog, rank them as you like them. But if you've never listened to this band before, and I've talked about them before many times on the channel, I've reviewed a bunch of their albums on here, certainly on the webzine as well. If you've somehow ignored all the chit-chatter I have done over the years about Siena Root, now is the time to get acquainted with their music. I will drop the link below to their Bandcamp page where you can go and listen to all these albums I'm talking about. They got a really good live album as well that was released a number of years ago. I think is also pretty damn terrific. They've got like EPs and singles and things like that, but these are the full-length studio albums. So let's get started. So we're going to start from my number 8. We're going to go back to 2009 for their 4th album. It's called Different Realities. And this was originally released on the Transubstance label. Of course, no stranger to cool, retro, heavy rock sounds. So, like I said, this came out in 2009. This is comprised of 2 side-long 25-minute suites. Okay, it's interesting. This, like I said, it's kind of the whole prog rock mindset also leaking into some of their stuff, and specifically for here. So the first suite is called We. And this, We, and the second is called The Road to Agartha, all right, with Ragmala in parentheses. So, and both have very distinct flavors, right? So the first part, side-long suite, again, each one 25 minutes and change, contains most of the elements that we would associate with Siena Root. And remember when this came out, I was kind of like, this another in a fine line of albums, right? Just kind of what you expect from these guys. Heavy rock, psych, prog, little bits of funk, some acoustic flavors as well. And then on the second side, it goes into another direction entirely. It's made up of and permeated by these like classical Indian motifs and themes. I'm talking about the country India, right? And, so, it's kind of Middle Eastern sounding, but it's ethnic Indian themes. And you got like flutes and sitar and acoustic guitars, occasionally interspersed with some heavy riffs and wah-wah guitar solos. I'm not nuts about the second suite on this album. as some of you who probably know who've watched me on the channel here, a little bit of sitar goes a long, long way. And this band, on a couple of instances throughout their discography, have utilized sitar, and sometimes it's a little bit more than I'm like 100% comfortable with, right? I don't mind it in little spurts, but do I want to hear 5-6 minutes of it in a song or during a suite? I don't know. It tends to grate on my ears a little bit. I don't know what it is about sitar. But overall, though, it's a decent album. And, kudos to them for doing something a little bit different and going into different directions. I think this is, if you want to hear the more progressive side to the band, there's definitely some cool stuff going on here. And like I said, the We suite, the first suite on here, is made up, We Are Them, In the Desert, Over the Mountains, and As We Return. All, really good parts of that overall suite and good rockin', bluesy, heavy rock stuff. So I would definitely recommend it. It's my least favorite of all of them, but it's still really, really good. All right, the other one, which I do not have a hard copy of, and it's long out of print. I should have bought it at the time. I think back then I reviewed the digital copy or something like that. I just never went and bought it, is Kaleidoscope. That's from 2006, their second album. Compared to their first album, which we will get to, it's a little bit more bluesy and a little bit more kind of psychedelic rock based than the debut. On bass, you got Sam Reifer. He's founding member of the band. He's on all the albums. Anna Sandberg and Anurag Choudhary are both contributing flute. You got KG West on guitars. He's on guitar on a good chunk of these albums. He's not in the band currently. And on drums, also founding member, and on every album is his name is Love. I think he goes by the nickname Billy, but Love Forsberg is his name. Also on lead vocals on this album is Sonya. Okay, and playing hurdy-gurdy is Tangman. Sonya, I believe this is the only album that she appeared on. And this was kind of interesting now because they do have a female singer now on the most recent two albums, and generally speaking, throughout their history, a male singer. So here, Sonya was the lone female singer early in the catalog. So you got songs like Good and Bad, which has kind of like really kind of cool, eerie psychedelia mixed with big, raucous, energetic hard rock. You got the funky rocker Night Stalker, a really nice, crispy blues rocker, which is called Blues 276. You got some sitar on this album as well. You got Bavari Dunn, which is all sitar. As you can imagine, I'm not a huge fan of that. You got the space rock instrumental Crossing the Stratosphere. You've got a really cool kind of Deep Purple inspired rocker called There and Back Again. This band obviously are big fans of Deep Purple. You hear a lot of Deep Purple in their music throughout their career. You got the gritty hard rocker Riding Slow. You got a closing instrumental which is called Reverberations, which is a pretty lengthy, cool prog rock workout, which I really like. It also has some flutes in it. Organ, guitars, pretty cool song. Overall, I think it's kind of an uneven album, but I think there are some really great songs on it, as there are on all these albums. So I would still recommend Kaleidoscope for you to check out. And that's my number 7. Now, number 6, I'm going to go to their latest release in 2023, Revelation. 8th and most recent album. Sam Reifer on bass and vocals. Zubaida Solid on lead vocals. She is the current vocalist of Siena Root. She's been in the band now, I think, going on 3 years, something like that. Excellent. She also plays keyboards on the album. You got Eric Peterson on clavinet. He has been in the band playing keyboards for a number of years. You got Love Billy Forsberg. I love Billy Forsberg. I'm just going to call him Love from now on drums, and Johan Borgström on guitar. He has been the guitarist in the band for a couple of albums now. Lisa Isaacson on flute as well. So here you got a nice blend of all the styles that they have done up to this point. Little bits of hard rock, not a little bit, good amount of hard rock, definitely some blues. You got some folky stuff coming into play on this album, which you don't hear a ton of on the earlier albums, as well as some cool psychedelia on here as well. Professional Procrastinator is a kick-ass song. Good rocker. I really like Zubaida's vocals on this album. I think she's really come into her own. She sounds really confident as the voice of the band. She's a terrific singer. If you look at any of the live footage on YouTube of her, she's got presence on stage too. Very, very cool. What else we got in here? Really good organ tones on throughout this album, and I think you can hear Sam's big fat Rickenbacker bass tones throughout much of this album, especially on the song "Coincidence and Fate," which kicks off the album, which is really, really cool. Great guitar riffs on there. You got really blistering heavy blues on "No Peace," which has some killer fuzz on Johann's guitar. Love that. You got some spacey psych on "Fighting Gravity." Dusty Rhodes, not the former wrestler, is kind of like a haunting, slower blues track. Really like that a lot. Winter Solstice. The back end of the album start to see more acoustic flavors coming in. So you got Winter Solstice, which is folky, kind of bluesy. You got flute, organ, and mellotron, which play up big time on the instrumental Darkalia Stroll. And then Leaving City, there comes the sitar again. Got to squeeze it in somewhere, right? You get Little Burden, which is more of an acoustic blues piece. Then sitar comes back again on Madu Cons. I don't know how you say it, something like that. And then at the end of the album, you have this really cool kind of slow, emotional, bluesy number called Keeper the Flame, which has a really, really good guitar solo in it. So overall, it's a really good album. I think it loses a little steam towards the back end, and I could have done without the 2 sitar tracks. Maybe one, because they do tend to include at least 1 track on most of their albums. 2 leaves me kind of like taxing a little bit, but what's good on here is really, really good. So I would definitely, if you want to start with their latest, because I think she's such a great singer, and I'm so happy she's like the front person in the band right now. I think it'd be cool for you guys, if you wanted to start somewhere, to start with the latest, because to hear like what they're all about today. It's still, like I said, it may be my number 6, but it's still a really, really good album. I like it quite a bit. All right, next up we're going to go to number 5, The Secret of Our Time from 2020. So this was their COVID-19 album. And seriously, I think this was as well, because they took them a while to release this. This was like done, I think, in 2021 or early 2022, and it only just came out recently. They had issues finding a label and blah, blah, blah. But this was the one that they released at the beginning of COVID-19. So again, The Secret of Our Time, 7th album, MIG Records. Also, their most recent one's on Atomic Fire. I did want to mention that. So here we have Sam Riffer, again, on bass and vocals, right? He's on every album. You've got Love is also on drums. You got Mate Gustafsson on guitar. A lot of people on this album. So I'm assuming the whole COVID thing made it hard for them to get together and record this album. So there's lots of people helping out on here. So you've got Mate Gustafsson on guitar. You got Stian Grimstedt on sitar. You got KG West, okay, their original guitar player, on guitar and keyboards. Johan Borgström is on guitar. You got Stefan Koglek on guitar. Love Forsberg on drums, like I mentioned. Eric Peterson on keys. And then you got Zubaida Solid on lead vocals. All right, this is her first appearance with the band. Also on co-lead vocals, you have, what is her name? Lisa Leistem on all co-lead vocals. So as you can see, a lot of people working on this particular album, but it's a really, really good one. Kind of cool to hear the 2 lead singers. I think Zobaida does most of the vocals, but you can hear them both there, so it's kind of cool to hear that. And I think this album sounds very kind of late 60s psych and meets like early 70s heavy blues rock. And most of the kind of like the heavy rock elements of the earlier albums kind of gone at this point, but this album still rocks really hard. It's just that on some of the early albums you get these kind of heavy, like in rock, Deep Purple things and early Sabbath and stuff from time to time. You don't get a lot of that here. There's still the Deep Purple thing with the Hammond organ and the guitar, but it's not quite as heavy. But this album does rock a lot. All right, so what else? Final Stand, great song to kick off the album. Soaring vocals on it, good hard rock riffs, space rock synthesizers as well. You got the funky hard rock stomp of Siren Song, Organic Intelligence. Man, grooves till the cows come home. Just never-ending groove. I mean, that's the one thing this band is good at, is kind of retro sounds with tons of groove. Really, really cool song, Organic Intelligence. You got the hard rockin', I mean, it just brings to mind like late 60s hard rock and psych music. I mean, telling you, so good. I love the organ on the bluesy Mender, right? Mender, great, another great song. Great emotional vocals on that one as well. You got some great wah-wah guitars and nice organ on the 70s flavored hard rock of In Your Head, another good song to look out for. When a Fool Wears the Crown reminds me of like early, like first album or two, Allman Brothers meets early Deep Purple. Very cool. That you'll hear me mention Deep Purple a lot during the show and Allman Brothers from time to time because I think their band have been big fans of them as well. You got Slow Blues of Daughter of the Mountain. Have No Fear is a little bit darker in tone. Really like that a lot. And then you get the emotional slow build of Imaginary Borders, which has some killer Hammond organ and big riffs. That's the last song on the album. So again, 43 minutes. Most of these albums are fairly compact, 40 to 50 minutes, that sort of thing. And there, let me just show you a picture there. There they are. Do I have another one here to show you? Don't remember yet. So again, here it's all of them. Big group making this album. They've now condensed it quite a bit with the latest lineup. But yeah, this is a really good one. If it wasn't for so many other great albums, this would probably rank higher because I like this one quite a lot. It was really nice to get that during the beginning of the pandemic to have another Siena Root album come out. All right, number 4. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning. 2004, debut album, A New Day Dawning. And this came out on Rockadome Records. All right. So here in the band, Sam Riffer on bass and vocals, KG West on lead guitar and vocals, H. Forsberg on percussion and vocals, and Oskar Lundstrom vocals and organ. Right. So I guess I made a mistake before. So Love Forsberg was actually not. He was H. Forsberg. I'm sitting here thinking, where's the Love name? Right, because I wrote all these names in my notes for all the lineups. What his H, Love, Billy, Mr. Forsberg on drums, percussion, founding member. So debut album, probably one of their heavier albums. I remember when this first came out, I was kind of like, holy shit, I love this, because of course I love 70s, late 60s and early mid 70s heavy rock, and this was right up my alley, as you can imagine, and give you a little idea there. Again, early stuff. Look at that. Setting up the instruments out in the woods in Sweden, right? Doesn't get much cooler than that. And good stuff here. So lots of crunchy riffs, loads of Hammond organ. You got male vocals on this particular album, obviously. Great bluesy hard rock guitar solos. Coming Home, terrific opener. It's a lot of songs on this. 13 songs on this album. It's one of their longer ones too. Coming Home is it kind of has a Mark III era Deep Purple, Burn, Stormbringer feel to it. As does Just Another Day. Very cool. Shine's got a funkier feel. Some great drumming and great guitar licks. I'm reminded of Mark IV era Deep Purple on that. The Tommy Bolin era, maybe a little bit. And you can also hear a little Grand Funk Railroad, early Grand Funk Railroad in these early albums, which is pretty cool. You got the extended slow blues of Fever, Above the Trees, has a kind of roots rock flavor. Again, they call themselves root rock, right? I'm calling it roots rock. Singer on this album got a little Glenn Hughes in his vocal style, right? The soulful Glenn Hughes, not the screaming Glenn Hughes. Got nice organ throughout this particular album. Got a little bit of a doomy feel on What Can I Do? Again, some of the riffs are fairly heavy on these early albums and brings a little bit of a doom feel. You got Little Man, nice and bluesy, good Hammond organ guitar interplay on that one. Roots is more slow blues, more Hammond, more soulful vocals. You got the psychedelic rock of Trippin', which has a kick-ass guitar solo exchange, which reminds me of Allman Brothers Band, the first 2 albums. Until Time Leaves Us Again, atmospheric, more great organ and guitar exchanges there. You got Words, which is a nice, cool, slow builder towards the back end of the album. It starts out gentle and bluesy, and then it gets thundering riffing comes into play. Scorching leads kick in. Awesome stuff. And then you have another great track, which is the 9-minute Raseina, okay, just over 9 minutes long, all instrumental, prog rock, jam, great stuff going on there. And then Into the Woods, another lengthy one at the end of the album, which is 8 minutes and change, and there you hear Black Sabbath as well as kind of Scandinavian prog. Excellent debut. Again, could even rank this higher, right? I think the band's still trying to figure out what they're doing, but what they did do on here is excellent. It's my number 4. Number 3, I'm going to go with 2014's Pioneers. 5th album. And this is on Cleopatra Records. Sam Riffer on bass and vocals. Johan Allen on lead vocals. Again, like I said, basically every album's got a different lineup. Mate Gustafsson on guitars and Love Forsberg on drums. Eric Peterson on keyboards. This is one of my favorite lineups of the band. Just you listen to this band really gels quite a bit on this. You get the tremendous heavy rock of Between the Lines, right, which is a must for Deep Purple fans, as well as on a more modern scale, Spiritual Beggars. It's kind of got that like 70s heavy rock meets stoner rock type of feel. Excellent. You got big, huge Hammond organ tones and guitars on 7 Years. You got the energetic heavy rock song Spiral Trip. You get more Deep Purple love on Root Rock Pioneers. And man, wait till you hear the organ on this. You're going to be like, holy cow, did John Lord guest on this album? Amazing stuff. The Way You Turn could have come off of Burn or Stormbringer. Excellent Mark III era style right there. You get the bluesy yet real doomy rocker Keep on Climbing. You get kind of like a hard rock and boogie type of thing on Going Down. You get the near 10-minute instrumental, which is all atmospheric and kind of creepy and bluesy, In My Kitchen. Great stuff. This is a really, really cool album. And if you get the CD reissue of this, you get a see them here do a cover of A Whole Lot of Love by Zeppelin. So this is really good. Really good. It's my number 3, Pioneers from 2014. All right, the top 2. We're going to go to 2008 for their 3rd album is my number 2, Far From the Sun. And this is also on Transubstance Records. Kind of psychedelic looking album. And there you open it up and there you see all that vintage equipment, right? Look at all that stuff. Right. Here you have on this album Sartez Farage on lead vocals. Only album that Sartez Farage appears on. Sam Riffer on bass and vocals. KG West on guitars and keyboards. And Love Forsberg on drums. So you got Dreams of Tomorrow. Killer, foot-stomping, heavy rock with great riffing. Got some cowbelly things going on there. Great vocals. It reminds me of like early Alice Cooper group. Maybe a little bit of Budgie. Maybe a little bit of Bad Company. Great song. Great song. Dreams of Tomorrow. Check it out. Waiting for the Sun. Atmospheric, bluesy, hard rock with sitar. They love the sitar, right? Got to throw in there somewhere. You get a mix of Black Sabbath and Deep Purple on the heavy rock of Time Will Tell. You got a song called Almost There, which has tons of groove, neat riffs, lots of cool guitar solos, great organ. You got this kick-ass fuzz tone, which comes out for the big, crushing stoner rock of Summer of Old. I mean, the riffs are just terrific in that song. Really, really good. Got some flute there as well. Kind of the whole song reminds me of kind of like Sabbath meets Jethro Tull. Very, very cool. And you get more of that very similar format on The Break of Dawn. You got the 10-minute closer, Long Way From Home, which has some eerie organ and mellotron and big doomy riffs. Killer album. Killer album would probably be, this was actually my number 1 from them for many years until my number 1 came out, which is in 2017. Their 6th album, A Dream of Lasting Peace. And this is on MIG Records, once again, made in Germany. Samuel Bjoro, I guess Joro, B-J-O-R-O, however he says his name, on lead vocals on this album. It's the only album he would appear on. Mate Gustafsson on guitar, Love Forsberg on drums, Sam Riffer on bass and vocals, and Eric Peterson on keyboards. And again, another one of my favorite lineups. I think there's 3 favorite lineups. The current one, the one I just spoke about before, which was on the Pioneers album, and then this band on this album. First of all, I think Samuel is a terrific singer. Really good. He's just got this kind of soulful, hard rock voice, which just works wonders with this retro sounding stuff. And, the rest of the band is very familiar because they're on a whole bunch of albums. It starts off with a song called Secrets, which got those big meaty riffs and organ, lots of nimble drumming, and a cool, funky, soulful kind of hard rock feel to it. Excellent. And I think, like I said, Bureau has such a set of pipes, man. Such a set of pipes. Then you got loads of thick grooves and great catchy vocal harmonies on Tales of Independence. You got a song called Sundown, which brings a kind of a strong kind of psych meets southern rock feel, right? Again, that kind of like maybe early Allman Brothers type of thing. Really, really good stuff there. You got a slow blues track called The Piper Won't Let You Stay, which has some of his best lead vocals on the album. And he's just great on this kind of slower, emotional, bluesy stuff. Really, really good. Then you got... how about a little Black Sabbath meets Deep Purple again, right? Big Sabbath booming riffs meets the Deep Purple heavy rock with Hammond organ on Outlander. Great track. Outlander is so, so good. You got the Fiery Growing Underground, which again goes back to early Deep Purple, this time more like early Mark II. I'm thinking more like kind of Fireball and Machine Head era, not quite as heavy as in rock, that sort of thing. Very, very cool there. You got organ and guitar interplay all over Empty Streets, and again, listen to it and you're thinking, oh my god, is this like some unreleased Blackmore and Lord jam from like 1971? Very cool stuff. You get a little bit of kind of that raucous, upbeat, garagey Grand Funk Railroad flavor on No Filters, and then you got what's really cool and really different on this album is you got this song called Imaginarium, which is this great instrumental, which is jazzy and bluesy and proggy, all colliding. Killer guitar soloing. And again, it takes me back to like Memory of Elizabeth Reed, Allman Brothers with the guitar soloing. Just great stuff. Great stuff. And then you got the dark, ominous closer, The Echoes Unfold, which brings to mind Demons and Wizards era Uriah Heep, as well as maybe a little Death Walks Behind You, Atomic Rooster. Fantastic album. Absolutely fantastic album. I was over the moon with this when this first came out, and re-listening to all of these albums, but specifically this one, to get ready to do this ranking, I was like, holy cow. I forgot how great some of this stuff is, man, especially this album. Just absolutely, absolutely intense music. And again, if you just love classic sounds of the late 60s and the 70s, you're going to love this band. You're going to love this band. They rock, let me tell you. The one thing is, and good, bad, or ugly, right, or whatever, it's like, for some people I can see how the constantly changing of singers and members could get a little annoying after a while because, you want that kind of constant in the band. But thankfully, Zobaida has been the voice of the band for the last 2 albums, and I hope that continues because I think she has firmly settled in as the lead vocalist of Siena Root, and I'm happy that she has. So, but yeah, a lot of really good albums. So, check them out if you haven't. Like I said, I'm going to drop the link to the Bandcamp page down in the comments below for you guys to check out. And I would highly, highly recommend you do. This is a killer, killer band that needs your attention. And there's so many great bands from Sweden. It's just, and I think so many people here in this country just never even hear about them. And that's why I always harp on like all these great bands from metal and prog and whatnot from Scandinavia, because there's just so many of them. If you're someone who's kind of like just gotten tired of maybe listening to the same old, or maybe your old favorites from the 70s and the 80s aren't really doing what you like anymore, and you want something that kind of scratches that itch, but you want from a younger band. Boom, right here. There you go. So, anyway, if you are a fan of Siena Root, rank these as you like them down in the comments below. If you have never listened to them before, go out and investigate some of these albums, and then come back and let us know what you think down in the comments below, because I really would love to know what you guys think of this band, because I'm a really big fan, and I would love to see them get a little bit more exposure. So, thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. All together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, we've got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations as well as our merch page. So thanks in advance for all that. I've done a lot of talking today. And we'll see you real soon here on the channel with more stuff. Please hit the like button before you leave. And stay tuned. We've got coming up Tuesday in the Prog Seat. We will be talking about our favorite prog and fusion albums from 1979. Till then, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week here on Ranking the Albums. Till then, have a good weekend. Bye-bye.